Wow, it's been a long time, huh? About a year ago, I was starting to get tired of playing War Thunder. I'd been playing the game for about 3 years at this point, and my discontent with the game had been brewing for a while. So I took some time away from the game to avoid burnout, and maybe think some more about why I was getting tired of the game. As I started getting back into War Thunder, and I stream on Twitch, you should check it out, a lot of the things that I had issues with are still in the game. However, instead of just ranting about the things I dislike, I've decided to start this series, Fixing War Thunder. I will be using these videos to provide constructive criticism and maybe offer some solutions that Gaijin could, in my opinion, implement relatively easily into the game. The first episode of this will be about Ground RB's maps and game modes, as I think these two go hand in hand. Contrary to what most people might think, I actually like most of the maps in War Thunder, and I believe they offer decent enough variety in visuals, as well as being mostly balanced. Really, I think the maps suffer from a lack of game modes and being forced to cater to the classic 3 caps gameplay that is 90% of Tank RB. It's the repetition of capturing an arbitrary circle that makes the maps feel unbalanced and uninspired, in my opinion. Game modes is the big one. I cannot be the only one who is sick of capping 3 points 90% of the time in Ground RB. I think this is where the maps can work together with the game mode to offer a greater variety of gameplay. I would love to see Gaijin make a new set of maps that are focused on a game mode that I'm choosing to call Raid. It would be an attack and defend game mode similar to Rush in the Battlefield series. However, instead of blowing up crates, the objectives could be anything from a bunker, to park planes, to transport ships in a harbor. I would make some of the objectives sensitive to different types of shells, so taking Hesh or HE to kill bunkers or ships would be necessary to win the match. I would also love for Gaijin to add some spice to the regular game modes by re-implementing things that they've already done in the past. For example, on the map Carpathians, a crate would drop into the match partway through and become a temporary objective called the D point. Why Gaijin chose not to explore this idea further, I'll never know, but I'd love to see it come back and on more maps. It could even function as a final objective where partway through the game, points A, B, and C are no longer capturable, and capturing D will win the game. Another thing that could be added is to make some maps that have 5 capture zones instead of 3 or 1. Adding more caps can encourage players to go to different areas of the map and possibly add more variety in the gameplay by encouraging light tanks to go out to capture the further objectives. War Thunder also used to have a game mode called Break, where both teams would have to capture different objectives to move forward in the map. After capturing their objective, a new one would unlock, and the team would gain a new, closer spawn. Well, it had issues, and if I remember correctly, there was a lot of spawn camping. I can't see why Gaijin will stop developing this game mode entirely. I would like to see this game mode return with some balance tweaks. Another game mode that could be implemented into random battles is the convoy raid from their own World War scenarios. With some rebalancing and tweaks to the AI, I could see this game mode adding some much needed variety to random battles, as well as forcing players to play in different parts of the map. I would mainly put this game on urban maps, so the lackluster AI would have some cover and players would be forced to get in close to eliminate them. I have a few more game mode ideas, but I think you get the point. What Ground RB really needs is more game modes instead of yet another map that has 3 points. As a short aside, while I think Battle is an okay game mode, certain layouts should just not exist. Maps like Vietnam, Maginot, and Sweden have layouts that frankly make no sense. Every time I see a layout like these, I immediately rush to the enemy point, as if the enemy does the same to our point, the game will instantly end. I've ended matches, and I've seen matches end in less than 5 minutes using this method, and I can't imagine anyone else finding this kind of gameplay entertaining after the first few sweeps. I think Battle Map should look more like Abandoned Factory, where players are free to use the entire map, but to play the objectives, both teams have to go into the exposed middle to end the match quickly. In the event of a team getting a sizable lead, they can just take the middle. Another thing that players have asked for a lot, but I don't really agree with, is that they want bigger maps at mid and top tier. And while I see their point, I think adding larger maps into the rotation would make the 3-cap gameplay even more tedious and liable to blowout-style games. I would look at Gaijin's own World War game mode and how the big maps played out during those events. I found that players would stay in 1/3 of the map and only play around the objective they spawn closest to, as moving to another cap could take literal minutes. Losing the cap you just came from was downright demoralizing in those game modes as well. What I think should change is that Gaijin should lower the player counts of top-tier maps. Currently, you can have up to 24 players on a map as small as Second Battle of El Alamein. Frankly, that is too many players for a map that small, and should realistically go no higher than 16 players on a map that size. I think Gaijin should go through all the maps in the upper tiers and set a player cap for each depending on their size and the battle rating. This would help alleviate the bum rush style of gameplay on those maps that are that small. Anyway, that's all I wanted to cover for this first video. If you like my suggestions, feel free to leave a comment and maybe even subscribe if you want to see more content like this. If you didn't like my suggestions, I'd love to hear your criticism. And as always, I'll take any and all advice for improvement. Anyway, I hope you have a fantastic morning, day, or evening.